everyone, good morning. Good morning to all. Hello, hi. So I can see people are there in the chat. First of all, guys, let me know in the chat that am I audible and visible clearly? Is my voice audible to you all? Just let me know quickly in the chat, please. Waiting for your confirmation. Hi, good morning, good morning. Yes. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for your confirmation. So, myself, Anam Khan, one of the team member of LetsUpgrade, and grateful to see you all attending the morning session. And we just planned to take this session on morning because as festive season is going on, so we don't wanted to disturb your Garba night. So that's the reason we had planned this morning session. So yeah, good morning, and I'm here just to give you all small information or overview of this bootcamp. We are starting with the HTML and CSS bootcamp. This is the day one, and it will be just 1 hour session. Yeah, and if you have any doubts, anything you want to ask, you can ask us in the chat. We and the trainer are here to help you out, guys. So I will just share my screen quickly and explain you all about the attendance part. Till then, we can chat. We can know from where you people are joining, from which field you are. I'm Anam from LetsUpgrade again, and I'm from Mumbai, Navi Mumbai basically. So yeah, just till then, let me share my screen and okay. So I hope my screen is visible to you all, guys. Is there? Just tell me yes or no in the chat. Is it visible to you all? So, guys, here in the description box, you can see all-in-one documentation and for registration, attendance certificate, for everything we have one link. We call it as a one link. Click on this link, you will be redirected to the page where you enroll yourself. So, to mark your attendance, scroll your page. Here is the mark attendance toggle. There is a scale on 0 to 10. You can rate it according to yourself, how much you like the session. For now, I will give 10 on 10. And here is a feedback option. You can put anything, how you like, how much you like the session, or if you want any improvement from our side, if you want anything to re-explain, anything you can put it there. For now, I will put nothing and submit my attendance. After submitting the attendance, just make sure to reload the page. Okay. So reload the page. After reloading the page, your progress bar will increase. It will increase day by day as you mark your attendance. So this is a 3-day bootcamp, so it is showing 33.33% of attendance. Sorry, 33, my mistake. And yeah, on the day 3, you will get to see your the gender certification option. When you mark your royalty attendance and when this program ends, you will get to see the gender certification option. So you can download your certificate from here, and we have Discord and WhatsApp channel. You can join us there to get daily reminders and updates about the sessions and bootcamps that we are planning in the future. And here is the Postman API challenge we are running, where you can win. You can be eligible to win the earbuds, smartwatch, iPad, Amazon Echo, and also the keyboard, gaming keyboard. And this is the Student Ambassador program, which will start from the October batch has already started. The next batch will start from 1st of November. So make sure that if you want to add value means some certificate in your resume, so you can join this ambassador program. It's a free and 1 month program, so no charge, nothing, and here you can get the chance to win swags and incentives, and win coupons, and may also attend the workshops. So yeah, if you people are interested, please join this program. And anything you have any doubt, you can ask us in the chat. And also, guys, here is the all-in-one documentation. Click on this documentation. Now we have stored everything for you people in one place, like the attendance links, session links, and these are the notes which we have prepared for you people. You can refer it in your future and yeah, use it anytime. So here is the all notes for you people. So yeah, you can save this link, and anything else, any doubt, any query, let me know in the chat. And so for now, I will introduce the trainer and who and over the session to him, so, which is Satyam sir. Hope you all will love this session and attend this all 3 days bootcamp. So yeah, I will take a leave for now. Thank you guys. Bye bye everyone.
Hi guys, good evening. Hi. So guys, just see this thing. We basically have a 3 day this thing boot camp. So in the first day, what we'll be basically going to do is, in the first day we'll be just going to learn about the basic of HTML, and I can basically say some advanced things also. And the second day I will basically try to cover all the CSS part. And after that, if there is something remaining on the day 3, we'll be going to cover it. Plus, I'll be even going to show you one project on the day 3. All right. Yeah. So just see this thing. Before starting this boot camp, let me just tell you, most of you, let us just say, some of you was really not aware about what coding is. You might have never write any kind of a code in your life, right? So that is like completely okay. And some of you might have already watched some HTML tutorials, or maybe you was basically going through some kind of a like website, right? So some of you might be not aware about the coding. So if I just talk about HTML and CSS, these are like really basic languages. Basis we will be going to cover. All the things that I'll be just going to show you over here, I'll be going to provide that things in the one document, the link that you'll be able to see in the description. All right. So just wait for it. First, let's just finish this session, the first day, and after that, I'll be just going to provide you all the notes and all. You don't have to worry about the notes. Each and everything that I'll be just going to show you over here, I'll be just going to provide you that. All right. So guys, let us just say if we guys are like starting this thing, any kind of a coding, like whether you are starting with C, whether you are starting with Python, whether you are starting with web development. All right. So we always have some kind of a fear that will I be able to do it or not? That is the main thing. Really sorry if my voice is low. Is it good now, guys? Is it good? My voice is good now. You guys are clearly able to hear me? Okay. Thank you very much for the confirmation, guys. So we initially what basically happened, guys. Initially we have a doubt that whether I'll be able to do it or not. That is the main thing. Okay, like we always have a fear: should I start it or not? And what basically happened when you will be going to start this thing? When you will be just going to pick any kind of a language, and when you will be just going to start it. So most of the people used to do this thing that they used to drop it in between, right? Like whether they are stuck, whether they've been stuck in some kind of a part, maybe in some kind of a topic, so they just like stop it. They like don't continue the this thing, the more tutorials and all. So you guys don't have to do this thing. All right, just be with me for the 3 days, and I'm sure you will be going to learn the basics and some advanced things in CSS and HTML, that for sure. Yeah, so the basic part I'll be just going to show you, plus the advanced part. Now one more thing, guys. Whenever, let us just say, if I'm starting something new, I always had this doubt. Okay, all the YouTube, all the peoples who are basically showing this tutorial and all, okay, all the people's like on YouTube, if I'll be just going to follow any XYZ guy, or maybe any kind of a site I'll be just going to follow for learning purpose for HTML and CSS, right? I always used to think, okay, these all are basically showing me the basic part, but what kind of a code I'll be going to do in real life? That is the main thing. Will I be the same code that people are basically showing me on YouTube? Do I have to code the same thing in real life, or things will be lot different? Okay, so just see, guys, whenever we are learning these things from the very basic, okay, I'll be just going to share my screen also. Just give me 1 second. And after that, we'll be just going to continue this thing. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. So first of all, we'll be just going to discuss the basic part of web development over here. So guys, just see this thing. If you are new to this thing, HTML and CSS, all right. Okay, now, So all the basic part that we'll be going to see on any kind of a YouTube video or on any kind of a site, the same thing we used to implement. So let's just start the session. So first we'll be just going to talk about web development. All right. So whenever I'll be just going to talk about web development, right, it always include two parts. Okay. Two things will be there in web development. वेब डेवलपमेंट. ओके गाइस, मैं हिंदी में भी बोलूंगा, ऐसा नहीं है, अगर आपको हिंदी में कुछ भी पूछना हो तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हो. सो दिस boot camp will be in English and Hindi both. All right, so let us just start this thing. If I just talk about a web development, it always include two things, that is front end, and the second thing is basically back end. All right, front end is basically what you'll be able to see this YouTube video over here, right? You can basically subscribe the channel by just clicking on the button. You will be able to subscribe this Let's Upgrade channel. There's a like button, there's a like share button, right? You can like after the recording, what you can basically do, you can like increase or decrease the quality of the video. All right, I'll be going to suggest some good projects on the day 3. We'll be just going to go step by step. These things you can basically do by just clicking on some buttons. All right, but if I just talk about backend, if you are clicking that speed button, right, there are like multiple options, 0.25, like 1.25, 2x, this thing will be there, right? So at that time, there's like some code that is running. When you are hitting this button, there is something that is going for the backend. Okay, so that is the use case of backend. If you are like liking it, and you will be able to see how many people have liked it. So this thing is basically getting stored somewhere. So you'll be able to see, okay, this much likes are basically there. Okay, so that is basically your front end and back end. Now, apart from these two, there is one more thing that is really important, that is database. Okay, if you guys are like have started these things, like what is database and all, right? So you might be thinking, okay, what is the need of database? Let us just say, if I am basically building a project, I can store that in my system. All right, all the details that you basically want to show on website, or maybe you want to store a data, I can store it in my system. Then what is the need of this database? First of all, there are like two type of database. Okay, you can basically consider most popular are SQL, and the second one is MongoDB. So whenever I talk about SQL and MongoDB, SQL will be used for storing the structured database. A structured database basically means, let us just say I have some columns. Okay, person name, and let us just say class, and let us just say result. Okay, let us just say person name is XYZ, class is basically 10, and result is basically F. That means that particular person has been like failed. Now let us just say ABC, class is 10, and the person was passed. Or you can even store the result like he got 30% and this guy basically got 70%. So if I just talk about like this, so this is called, this data is in table. So whenever you will be going to see that there is a table, okay, this is known as a structured data set. I'll be just going to change the red color, no worries. Let me just pick yellow, it will be more visible. Now, if I just talk about MongoDB, what kind of a data we'll be going to store over here? Where data have no pattern. Okay, the data not in table. As simple as that. All right. If the data is not in table, then we'll be going to use MongoDB. If the data is in table, we'll be going to use SQL. Let's just keep things very simple. All right. Now, after that, if I just talk about now front end, right? So in front end, we basically have languages that you can basically learn, that is HTML. The second one is CSS that we will be going to learn, and the third one is Java script. These are the three languages that you can basically learn. Now let us just differentiate between these things. What is HTML, what is CSS, what is JavaScript? All right. Now, so if I just talk about, guys, HTML, okay, the full form of this language is basically nothing but hypertext markup language. All right. Now, let us just talk about what is this HTML will going to do and what this CSS will going to do. If I just talk about CSS, CSS is basically nothing but it is a cascading style sheet. Like this only, I'll be just going to tell you what is the like full form of these languages, but it is not important to remember all of these things. Okay. Now, okay. Okay. So HTML and CSS. Now let us just talk about what is the role of HTML in industry and what is the role of CSS in industry, right? If I just talk about a skeleton, okay, okay, so if I just talk about HTML, right, HTML is like a skeleton, okay, the skeleton. Now if I just talk about CSS, CSS is basically like the whole body. You will be able to see the mass, you will be able to see the eyes, nose. All right, you will be basically able to see hands and all. So that is basically the difference between CSS and this thing, HTML. Let me just show you. Just see, you will be able to see this one. Let me just show you this image. Or if I just give you some other examples also. So what can be the other examples? The other examples can be if you will be just going to build a home, right? Right. Over there will be a lot of raw material. Pipes will be there, rods will be there, and multiple things will be there. All right, after the structure, what you basically do, you basically used to paint it, you basically used to apply wallpapers, you basically used to apply lights, so you can make your home more beautiful. All right, yeah, so that is basically the difference between CSS and HTML. CSS and HTML both are basically very important. So let me just show you that image that I was basically going to show you. Okay, this you can basically consider as like HTML. This is your HTML plus CSS. Now HTML plus CSS plus JavaScript. Now what is basically that? Let us just say you have built this thing. You have the skeleton. Okay, you have converted this skeleton into a beautiful person by using CSS. But now if I have to move my hands, if I have to like do something, at that time we need some kind of a logic. So at that time we'll be basically going to use JavaScript. Okay, that time we'll be basically going to use JavaScript at that time. All right. Okay. So we'll be able to see that cascading style sheet is just for the style. And if I just talk about JavaScript, JavaScript is basically just for the logic purpose. Let's just say you have the light. Let's just say you have lights, you have walls, you have each and everything. But if you'll be just going to push the button, it should like on the light, right? So at that time, you need a logic that by just pressing the button, the light should get on. So at that time, we'll be basically going to need JavaScript at that time. All right. So that comes in front end. Now, if I just talk about backend, guys, don't worry, we'll be just going to speed it up. But over here, I have to give the introduction also about these things. All right. So don't worry, just please be calm. It's just half an hour only, and we have more 2 days. So we'll be going to cover each and everything. But the main thing is each and everybody should be able to understand what I am explaining over here. That is the main thing. Okay. Now, if I just talk about backend, so backend is like you can basically consider backend. We can basically use Node.js. The second one is basically Django. We can basically use. All right, and we can basically use over a PHP or Java. These are the like for backend. But over here, what we'll be basically going to do that we'll be majorly going to focus in the front end, not in the back end. All right, we'll be going to focus on the front end. So we'll be going to learn these languages over here, HTML and CSS. JavaScript will be not going to work, and at the end I'll be just going to show you this thing also. Now, okay, you have learned, let us just say you have learned these things in the front end. You are completely aware about HTML and CSS, but there are some essential things. If you basically want a job, if you want to land up on a like good job, all right, at that time there are some very essential things that you should be able to know. Essentials, what are basically that things? Let's just talk about. The first one is terminal command. Okay, the second one that I'll be going to talk about is Git or GitHub. Okay, the third one is, let's just say, you can basically consider on these two majorly. So let me just rub it. Okay, these things. So just see this thing. Terminal commands you should be able to learn, and Git and GitHub you'll be going to learn. Now, why we basically need terminal commands? Whenever you will be going to work in an industry, at that time you will be going to access each and everything through the terminal only. And if I just talk about what Git and GitHub is, let us just say if you'll be just going to work, for sure you will be going to work with company's laptop. Okay, you will be going to work with company's laptop. Let us just say if your laptop is not working, and if you basically have to restart your laptop and you have all your data in your laptop, so at that time what will basically going to happen? You'll be going to lose each and every data that you was having in your laptop. So what we used to do, the important files that we have, we simply used to upload it, or we simply used to like upload it on Git and GitHub. All right, now if I just talk about a terminal command, you might be thinking, okay, why terminal commands are like important? Let me just show you this thing. Okay, this is like the terminal. You will be going to access each and everything in real life with this terminal only. Just an introduction I'm basically giving over here, guys. All right, let us just say currently I am at which directory. So there is a command like pwd. So currently my directory is this user Satyam Tripathi, and if I just do, these are like all my this thing directories over here. If I'll be just going to do list directories, so over here it will be just going to show me this thing directories. Let us just say we all have document download folder in our laptop. Is screen not visible? Just once. Okay, it was visible, right, at that time? Yeah, okay. Really sorry. Let me just share it again. Okay. So this is like a basic. Like these all things are important. This is all I have to explain. Now, let us just start the coding part over here. The first thing is how we'll be basically going to code the HTML and all. 1 second. Yeah. So the main thing is that how we can basically code the HTML. So just see this thing, guys. For that, we'll be going to need a notebook. At that time, you'll be basically going to need a coding notebook. So over here, we'll be basically going to use VS Code. Let's just say if you guys don't have VS Code, so what we'll be basically going to do, I'll be just going to guide you how you can basically set up the environment over here. So let's just go on Google and you just basically have to write VS Code. You'll be able to see this one, the official website of VS Code, and you'll be just going to click over here. Now over here, it will be basically going to suggest you, if you'll be just going to go on this side with your Windows laptop, it will be automatically going to suggest you for the window. If you're using a Mac, it will automatically going to suggest you for the Mac. Okay. Now, if I'll be just going to download it, okay, what you basically have to do is you will be able to see this one, this site, and you just have to click over here, the download part, and you will be going to see that it has started downloading. Okay, over here. Okay, just wait. You just have to click over here. Yeah, and you will be able to see over here it is downloading. All right. Once it is downloaded, what you basically have to do, just go on the like this thing, downloaded part. Okay, over here you will be able to see my VS Code. Just click over here. It will be just going to unzip it. Again, click over here and follow the instruction part. Okay, over here it is basically getting installed, nothing else. So this is basically your VS Code. This is the coding platform that we will be going to use. Clear till now, guys? Okay. So now what you basically have to do over here, first of all, is let's just say we'll be just going to click on new file. Let's just say desktop, I'll be just going to pick up, and yeah. Okay, this is my desktop and this is how it will going to look like. Now, any folder you can basically open, download, document, any folder that you have created. Let us just say on the desktop, I'll be just going to go on the desktop. All right. And I'll be just going to, let us just say, going to create a new, this folder. Let us just say, let's upgrade CSS and HTML folder. All right. Now I'll be just going to go on back over here. Now I'll be just going to click over file and I'll be just going to click on open folder. On the desktop, I'll be just going to go and I'll be able to see that today I have created this folder. So I'll be just going to simply open it. Okay. So over here, we will be going to create a first file that will going to look like, I'll be just going to name it index.html. Just see guys, if you are using HTML, the extension should end with HTML. Let us just say if there is an image and basically, okay, if the image is there, so the image will be in JPEG, PNG format will be there, right? If the video is basically there, so I can basically say the video can be MP4, the video can be in AVI, like multiple, this thing is basically there. If I just talk about the audio will be in .mp3, .wave. These kind of formats will be there of audio. Similarly, let's just say if I'll be going to work with CSS also I'll be just going to show you, but it will be just going to work with Python. Let us just all right. So let us just say I'll be just going to write demo Python. So Python extension should end with .py. Okay, you have to use these things. So whenever you will be going to create a HTML file, that should always end with .html. Okay, clear till now, right? Now, before that, if we'll be just going to start, I suggest you, like there are some extensions. You might have heard about extension before. Let us just say Google extensions are there. With the help of that, you can record, Chrome extension. In the Chrome, you will be able to see that there are extensions that you can take the screenshots, particularly of this portion. You can basically record the screen. Multiple extensions are there basically. All right. Now, index.html. So we'll be just going to install some extensions. Let us just say live server. I'll be just going to install. You can basically write live server, right? And you just have to, let us just say I have like installed it previously. Now again, I'm installing it. Okay. So you just have to install it. Now, why we are installing it? Let us just say the code that I'll be basically going to write over here. Okay, the code that I'll be going to show you over here, we even have to deploy it on the site. You will be just going to see it on the site. So all the changes that you will be going to made over here on the live purpose, you will be able to see, okay, this changes that I have made over here. Otherwise, what you have to do, you again and again have to refresh it. All right. So HTML is index.html. Now, let me just show you one thing. Use this thing, this symbol, right? So if I'll be just going to, right, click on this thing. Okay. So you will be able to see this code. This code is basically known as boiler code. Okay. This code is basically known as a boiler code. What a boiler code basically used to do, that means that this is the basic code that we need if we'll be just going to use HTML and all, right? This should be the minimum code that we have to use. Without this, you like cannot write the HTML code. All right. So that is basically, just one second, that is basically your boiler code that you will be going to use these things. I'll be going to explain you that what this code is basically. Okay. Should I zoom it more like this? I think it is good now. Okay. Now, so guys, so all the code that we'll be basically going to write over here, we'll be going to write over here in the body part. Let us just say over here, I'll be just going to do something. Let's just something I'm basically writing over here. So I'll be just going to write, hello guys, let us just say. All right. Now what I basically have to do is just come over here. All right. Just double click on it and you will be able to see open with live server. If I'll be just going to click over here, you will be able to see this thing that we have written. So you will be able to see it on your site, on your web, you will be able to see it. Now, so let us just start what HTML is and what is the like basic of HTML. All right. Okay. So this thing that you will be able to see over here, this line, this basically tells nothing but the doc type declare representation that the documentation type is in like HTML. Okay. We are like using HTML5, that is the version of it. So that basically represent these things only over here. So let's just start with your syllabus. If I'll be just going to show you your this thing syllabus on your this thing description part over there, you will be able to see that that is your basically syllabus. So line by line, we'll be just going to cover it. Okay. Now, so let's just start this thing. So first, what we basically have to cover, three things we have basically covered till now. That was what is web development. We was able to understand the role of HTML and CSS. Set up your development environment. Yes, we have set up the development environment over here with the help of VS Code. Now what we'll be basically going to learn it, we'll be just going to learn HTML structure and basically the syntax of it. Okay, this is basically nothing. Just see over here, we are like just telling it that the code that we are writing, that should be in HTML file, nothing else. Okay, and all of these things that you will be able to see over here, this is nothing but this is just going to contain the metadata over here. Okay, this is the initial code that you basically have to use. So let us just come on the topic that first we'll be just going to create a file over here that will basically going to the name of this thing. I'll be just going to give is heading and paragraphs. Heading and paragraphs.html. Okay, so again, I'll be just going to use this emit. So this is my boiler code that you will be basically boilerplate that you'll be able to see over here. This will be basically going to use. All right. So now let us just say over here in the documentation, what we'll be basically going to write is we'll be just going to write HTML. Let us just say heading and paragraphs. And in the body, what we'll be just going to do, there are some things like paragraph, headings, and multiple things are there. If I'll be just going to show you this thing, all right, this tag basically represent that we are writing a paragraph over here, nothing else. Okay, Let us just say if I'll be just going to write, this is a paragraph. This is a paragraph. And if I'll be just going to save it, and if I'll be just going to double click on it, and I'll be just going to do open with live server. So you'll be able to see this thing. This is a paragraph. All right. Now, similarly, we have headings also. Now, where we will be going to use a paragraph. If you guys have followed any kind of a site, multiple sites are basically for the learning purpose. All right. So at that time, you will be able to see, okay, some headings are big, some headings are small. All right. Just see. If I'll be just going to show you something, let us just say HTML medium. So this is basically nothing, just a simple vlog that you will be able to see over here. So you will be able to see, just 1 second. Yeah, that the background is like green over here. This is being written in a big letters and a bold letters. And this thing that you will be able to see, this is like in a normal font, plus these letters are even small. Okay, so if I'll be just going to show you the code of this thing, let us just say I'll be just going to do view page source. So all of this code is been written. You will be able to see all the code over here. Just see HTML and all they are basically using over here. Okay, so this is basically the code behind this thing that you will be able to see. All right, let's just say if I just talk about this Google. Okay, or if I just do Google, and if I'll be just going to go on Google like this, right? So if I just do view page source, you'll be able to see this is the source code of Google. All the things that you'll be able to see over here, that is the page source. Now, if I just show you something else, if I'll be just going to double click on the screen, and if I'll be just going to click on inspect, right? So just see this thing. If I'm just clicking over here, okay, if I'll be just going to click over here, Google search, okay, this is basically your Google search. If I'll be just going to write over here, let's upgrade. Okay, so now you will be able to see over here, let's upgrade is been written over here. How it is being like possible? Because the same thing that we are even doing over here in the code. All right. But over here, let's just say you might be thinking, okay, now I have changes to let's upgrade. But this is for our viewing purpose only. It's not like that everybody will going to see this thing. So if we'll be just going to inspect it, you'll be clearly able to see that they are even, let's just say if I'll be just going to remove this thing, head part. Okay, so this is how Google basically looks like without the head part. Just 1 second. So that is only the HTML part that you will be able to see. Okay. But if I'll be just going to refresh it, you will be again able to see Google search. So the same thing that we are basically doing over here in the code over here, we have something known as paragraphs and we have something known as heading. So first of all, let me just show you there in headings, we have multiple headings. We have headings like H1, H2, H3, H4, S6. If I just show you over here, heading in HTML. This is how your headings will basically look like this. Some big headings, some small headings. So how do we create this thing? Let me just show you that over here. All right. This is a paragraph and I'll be just going to over here write heading. So for heading, what I have to write? I just have to write H1 and I just have to close it and it will auto complete the tag over here. Okay. So I'll be just going to write this is heading 1 and this is paragraph under heading 1. Similarly, the same thing we'll be just going to copy and paste it. And instead of H1, I'll be just going to write H2 and this will be my heading 2. Okay, this is my heading 3. So H3, H3, Similarly, copy and paste. This will be like h4. This is my heading 4, and this is my heading 4 also over here. Okay, till 5 till 6 we basically have. Okay, so this will be the like 5, heading 5, and over here I also have to write 5, 4, 3, 2, and one more last heading that we'll be going to use, that should be h6. S6. Okay, now what we have to do, you have to save it first of all by using control plus F. You'll be able to save your code. Now just double click on it and just do open with live server. So you'll be able to see this thing. Okay, just see this thing. This is your heading 1. This is your, if I'll be just going to inspect on it. All right, same code you will be able to see. H1 is basically this is your heading 1, and this is paragraph under heading 1. Okay, I think some mistake I have did over here. This is paragraph under heading 2. Let me just see this thing. Okay, H2 I basically have to write over here. Really sorry for that. Now again save it and come over here. Just see, I haven't refreshed it right now. All right, over here I just saved it and I just switched to this window. Now you'll be able to see like no bold text and big text is basically there. Just because I have installed this live server. All the changes that I'm basically doing over here, that is happening live over here. All right, so this is the code that you will be able to see. This is the code that we have basically written. So this is your heading and paragraph. Yeah, Kishore, thank you very much, but I have already solved it. Okay, clear till now, guys? Do you guys have any kind of a confusion till now? I hope you guys are enjoying. Okay, and don't forget, guys, that there is a link in description where you can mark your attendance and where you can like fill it, because if you'll be just going to mark it, you'll be going to get the certificate at the end. Now let us just talk about adding some images and links. All right, I have just shown you this thing blog over here. You'll be able to see that there is an image. How they was able to add this image, that we'll be basically going to learn now. So let's just create a new file. All the files I'll be just going to create separately, so you guys will not going to face any kind of a problem. Okay, now so let us just say image link dot html. This I'll be just going to write again a boilerplate code. I'll be just going to call. Okay, and title, let us just say going to write image links. All right, this thing what we will be going to do now. So first of all, let us just create a heading over here. Let us just say with h2 I'll be just going to create a heading over here. That should going to be image example. All right, now for adding an image, we just have to call img. Now in img I have to pass some values over here. Okay, that is going to be src. Src basically stand for source. That means like what is your this thing image. Let us just copy one image in this same folder, so you will be able to see it. Let us just say I'll be just going to use this skeleton one only that I have shown you. So I have copied it over here, and yeah, you will be able to see this image. Let us say we'll be going to show this image on the side. So what I just have to do, I just have to click over here. I just have to do copy relative path, and I'll be just going to paste it over here. So this is my image path over here that I'll be going to use. Okay, now let us just say I'll be just going to write something over here. Let us just say a paragraph I'll be just going to write basically over here. Just 1 second. Okay, paragraph. Okay, so I can basically say this is a sample image here. Okay, so one thing I have basically added over here, and let me just save it and let me just run it. Now you'll be able to see this image is really big, and you'll be able to see image example we have written. So we are able to see this thing, and this thing we have written. This is a sample image here. Okay, this is the one way of how you can basically do this thing. The another way is if you'll be just going to click over here, you will be able to see there's a terminal. So if you want to open, if you want to run any HTML file, you can even run open, just do open and image link.html and just hit enter. Okay. With the help of this also, you can run any HTML file. Now let us just say one problem is there, because with if you're learning something, you have to relate it with the real life. Let us just say by mistake, I have mentioned the wrong path. Let us just say _1 I have mentioned. Now if I'll be just going to run it, so how it will going to look like? There is no image. Okay, there is no image because the path that I have mentioned, there was no _1 over there. All right. So if there is a blank part, this can like cause a big issue for the user if a user visiting to my website, that what was basically there. So for that, we can basically write alter. Over there, we can basically specify what was there in the image. Okay. So we can like nothing but a difference between HTML, CSS, and JS. Okay. Now, if I'll be just going to run it, you'll be able to see that. Okay, just once. Yeah. If I'll be basically, if the image is basically not visible over here, so you can basically get a message that, okay, it is basically a image that is basically a difference between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It will just going to show you this thing only, nothing else. All right. That is basically considered as a alter. Okay. If I just copy this thing and I just click it over here. Okay. So you'll be able to see it will going to just print a message for you that difference between HTML and CSS, or you can basically write over here, this contains this thing. Now, similarly, let us just say over here, you will be able to see the image. Okay. Now let us just do one thing with respect to the image. There is one thing also, image and link we are talking about. So let us just, if I have to provide some kind of a link, let us just say H2, in H2 heading, I'll be just going to do this thing, link example. And over here, for providing a link, what we'll be basically going to do, let's just create a paragraph first of all. This is paragraph with a link. So over here, I'll be just going to write a link. So for the link purpose, what I'll be going to do, we use a tag, anchor tag, you can basically know. All right. So over here, we have to pass one, this thing key, that is href, and we just have to write the link of it. Let us just say I'll be just going to mention Google link. All right. So that is going to be h. That is basically going to be just, yeah, href will be basically going to use, and over here we'll be just going to use https www.google.com. This thing only you basically have to write over here. Okay, this thing only you basically have to write over here, and over here you can basically write link. And after that, like if you want, you can basically write click on the link, some message you can basically print over here. Now let's just try to run it. Okay, so you'll be able to see we are like seeing this is a paragraph with a link. So if I'll be just going to click on this link, my Google is like automatically going to open whenever I'll be just going to click on this link. Okay, so like this, if you want to go from one website to another website, right, so you can basically use this tag over there. Now just see one thing also, guys. Right now, if I just talk about this site, okay, you'll be able to see, okay, this image is like really big. You'll be clearly not able to see it. So what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to adjust the width of it. Okay, we'll be just going to adjust the width and height of it. So how we'll be going to do it? Just see in this thing only, what I'll be just going to write, I'll be simply going to write wi dth, that is your width, and I'll be just going to mention some number, let's just say 500, and over here I'll be just going to write height, that is like going to be again 600, let's just say, and I'll be just going to save it, and I'll be just going to yeah, now you'll be able to see that you can basically see the image. Now you can play with these numbers if you want. Let us say you want to do 200 comma 200 pixels. This image will be in pixels. Okay, in the terms of computer vision or in the terms of web development, we used to compare the pixels. Now what I do basically mean by pixels, let us just say you have a resolution, okay, in each your in your systems, right? So that has been like calculated by pixels only. So over here it is nothing but we are like comparing things by the pixel only. So this is how you can basically use image and links. Okay, I hope you guys are clear till now. Okay, do you guys have any kind of a confusion till now, guys? No? Okay, that is really good. Now let us just move forward and let us just discuss about our next topic, and let us just create a new file, understanding HTML tags. Okay, so common HTML elements, first we'll be just going to see HTML now. So HTML elements, so we have seen about this thing, we have seen about paragraphs. You will be able to see that also a HTML element. If I just talk about heading, you have even seen about heading, that is even a HTML this thing. Now after that we have an HTML element known as BR. Okay, if I'll be just going to add over here BR, okay, BR, this is again a this thing element in HTML. P is what? P is again an element, H1 is again an element. Now if I'll be just going to do open with live server, you'll be able to see that after paragraph there is a little gap over here. So BR is basically there for break line, for a line break. So you can basically get a little bit space. Okay, that is basically your HTML elements. Now let's just talk about HTML attributes. HTML attributes.html format will be just going to write. So HTML attributes are basically what? So if I just talk about all like HTML element can have attribute, the elements that we have discussed right now, right? So what I am basically saying over here, all HTML elements can have attributes. You have to remember this thing, guys. Okay, now let us just talk about, if I just talk about a boilerplate, if we'll be just going to write over here, right? And if I'll be just going to talk about this thing, the href attribute. Okay, we have seen about this thing, a tag, that was your hyperlink. Let's just say a, I'll be just going to write again. Okay, if I just talk about this image link, so over here we have used this tag. All right, so if I'll be just going to talk about that, if I'll be just going to write href inside it, sorry, over here we have to write it href, I'll be just going to mention, and I'll be just going to mention this image link over here. Okay, let us just say copy relative path, I'll be just going to do. So this href is nothing but href is the attribute. This is basically known as attribute. So these are the small things that you should be like aware about. If I just talk about this image one, if I just talk about this img image one, okay, so over here the source, the same thing. Okay, this thing, I'll be just, this is again an image over here. Sorry, you will be just going to write www.google.com. Okay, so href is nothing but it is again an attribute. And if I just talk about src, again it is basically a attribute. All right. Now, if I just talk about that, there was an image, there was width, and there was basically height also. That is again 100. So width and height is again an attribute for all of you. These are basically your HTML elements. And inside this, we have attribute. So HTML attribute provide additional information about HTML elements, nothing else. It is just providing more information. Okay. Now, so this is basically your HTML attributes that you will be able to see over here. Now you might be considering that there's a style also. So yes, style is basically we can like use. That is again an attribute. If I just talk about a style that we use over here. Okay. Now, so the next thing that we'll be like going to work with, these are your like attributes. Now you might have seen on some sites, if you'll be just going to follow something there, you'll be able to see some tables, list and tables and multiple things. So again, there is a very important topic in HTML that is basically working with list and tables. List and tables. If I just show you what list and table is. So you'll be able to see if you want to present a data like this on site. On your website, if you want to present a data like this. So let's just start with list and tables over here, guys. Okay. So whenever I'll be just going to talk about list in HTML, there are like two type of list. The first one is ordered list. The second one is unordered list. Okay. List and tables we are like working with. Right now we are like working with list and tables, guys. Okay. So let me just show you that also. Just give me 1 second. List and table, let me just show you. Okay, I think, okay. So this is basically the code with respect to list and tables. If I'll be just going to run it, let me just show you how this will going to look like. Like if you have to create things like this, okay, how you will be able to do it? Let's just side by side try to understand the code. Where is my this thing? Yeah. So just see this thing over here. Just 1 second. Let me just do one thing. Let me just split the window over here. So you guys will not have any kind of a confusion. Yeah. Now just see this thing over here. This is nothing but my like main code that we'll be going to use. And over here we have just added a h2 heading, that is unordered list, that you'll be basically able to see over here, that this is your unordered list. That is your like a heading that we have added. Now for creating a unordered list, we have to use a tag like this ul, that basically stands for unordered list. Okay, just see. So unordered list we have, and we have ordered list. So this is your unordered list and this is your ordered list. What is the difference that you will be able to see, guys? Okay, what is the difference that you guys are like able to see? Can I say, if I just talk about unordered list, it is not like that numbers are like shuffling. Over here first I have added item 1, item 2, item 3, so it is being written in a sequence only. But the only difference is that these points are being mentioned using bullet points. An ordered list is being like mentioned using 1, 2, 3 in a sequence, right? So whenever I'll be just going to talk about unordered list, because that depends on the use case that you are using. Let's just say if you require bullet points, so at that time you will be going to use unordered list. But if you need numbers, so you will be just going to use 1, 2, 3 like this. After that, what we have, how we have like did this thing, that is the like main thing. I have even given the like explanation over here. Okay, now so you will be able to see one thing, that how we will be going to create a order list, that is using a ul. But what is this li over here? Okay, li basically represent list items. That how you'll be just going to show the items one by one, like right. So we'll be just going to use li at that time. And after that, if I just talk about ordered list, so again we have used li for creating an ordered list like this. What we basically have to do is we just have to call ol, that is your ordered list. And again, inside this thing, if you want items like this, you have to mention li. Similarly, we have some same tags. Let's just talk about what other tags like we basically have over here. So dl is basically there. DL basically represent for definition list. If you want to provide some kind of a definition over here, so at that time you will be going to use DL. Now what is this DT that you will be able to see? You will be able to see that definition list. Let us say term 1. You can like something. Let us just say a gravity you can basically write in place of term 1, and over here there will be a definition of gravity. So if you want to build a site like this, at that time you can use these things. Okay, now if I just talk about dt, what this dt stands for, okay, this represents nothing but this represents a term or name in a definition list, a name. Okay, now what is this dd? This stands for definition or this thing, definition or description. That, let's just say if you'll be just going to write gravity over here, or let's just say you'll be just going to write html. All right, html you will be just going to write. So what you basically have to do over here, you will be just going to write the definition of html. Let me just save it. Just see html over here. I'll be just going to write the definition of html. Okay, html is a language, that I'll be just going to write over here. Okay, so you'll be able to see that what we have basically did, this is your this thing term, and this is the definition of it. All right, now there is something also called as nested list, that inside a list you want to create other list also. Okay, nested list. I hope you are clear. All right, now if I just talk about a nested list, okay, this is basically your nested list over here. So we have added a heading, nested lists, and ul is basically what, unordered list. That means we'll be just going to create bullet points, and in bullet points we want list like this. So ul is basically the unordered list, and again we have mentioned li. All right, that's your list items, and I have basically added like sub item 1, sub item 2, then I have basically closed this ul list. Similarly for other list. So like this you can basically create a nested list. List in a list is basically called as nested list. Now okay, now if I just talk about table, if you basically want to create a table like this, so how you will be basically going to create this table? What is the like code for this table? So it is basically nothing. Over here you will be able to see, first we have written a heading, that is your h2 table. All right, now table border is equal to 1. If I'll be just going to do border is equal to 2, what it will going to do, you will be able to see border has been increased. If I do 5, just see, it is just a border that it is considering. Okay, now so over here you will be able to see, we will be just going to start it like this. If you want to mention border, mention border, otherwise you can just leave this one also. There is no need for the border. If I'll be just going to save it, just see, it will going to show you like this. But if you want some lines, a proper table, you have to use this border. Okay, so this is how it will basically going to look like. So t head you will be able to see, so this is basically nothing, a table head we are talking about. Okay, tr is basically what, this is the table row, that in one row in this table, we will be able to see this horizontal way, these are rows. And if I just talk about a vertical way, these are your columns. So we are mentioning in a table row, in a first row, I want header 1, header 2, header 3. This is how they have mentioned. Okay. Now, after that, what we'll be basically going to do, again, T body we are basically calling. Over here, your T body is being closed. That this was the role of the body. Over there, we'll be just going to mention the heading, heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3. Yeah, we'll be going to discuss about this. If you want, you can even add BR also over here. Right now, after that table row, in a table row, we'll be going to enter the data. This is our first row. If I just talk about these things, these were our columns. Now table row, we'll be just going to enter the data. So TD we'll be just going to use. That is your table data. Row 1, cell 1. Row 1, cell 1. This is the data that we are entering over here. All right. In the second row, we'll be again going to enter this data. In the third row, we'll be going to enter this data. One by one, one by one. So this is how this code is working. So if you want to create any kind of a unordered list, if you want to create any kind of a ordered list, definition list, nested list, or a table, this is how you can basically do it. Okay, we can even add space on it. You don't have to worry about it. We can adjust the heights. So when I'll be just going to explain you about this thing, height and width, at that time, like how we can basically add a space in tables. So with the help of CSS, we'll be easily able to do it. But right now we are focusing on the basics parts, guys. We'll be going to learn CSS also. So let's just discuss the next part over here. Just see one thing. Whenever we all are learning something, okay, whenever we all are learning something, it's not like that. Just see, if I just talk about this code I'm like talking about, let me just make it full screen. How I will know that, okay, OL is basically there for the ordered list. How I would know that UL is basically there for unordered list. Okay, that is the main thing. Because like I haven't created these codes. These are the codes that is already been created and I'm just using it. Okay, so how we'll be able to learn these things? So let us just talk about the resources of it. I don't want that you guys will be limited to this code only. You should know from where we are basically getting this code, because I'm not the one who have created these kind of a codes. In real life, you have to work like this only. You have to search for your problems. Okay, so just see this W3 school. This site is really good, guys. I suggest you that you guys should go there and see these things. All right. Now, if I just talk about audio, how you'll be going to do the audio part? Like this. You'll be able to see this window. Okay, this is the horse. This is basically a horse voice note. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Now, so how do we call this audio? Audio controls. If we are passing control at that time, we can decide these things, that what should be the volume, whether it should be like playback speed should be 1.5 or like what should be the playback speed and all. Just see like this. But if you'll be just going to remove this control, at that time, you will be not able to control it. All right. That is basically this thing that they are explaining. Now, just see, autoplay is basically there. If you'll be just going to autoplay, it will going to autoplay each and everything. Okay. If you'll be just going to write audio controls autoplay mute, that means initially you want it to mute, but if someone wants to unmute it, then they can unmute it. So the only thing that we are like left with is multiple topics we have basically covered. Now let's just talk about one more topic. That was basically your formatting. Okay, let us just say you want to show a text like this in a bold manner, maybe in an italic way, and superscript, subscript, and superscript. What does that mean? Let us just say if I want to write some kind of a chemistry formulas, H2O, okay, O2. So at that time, we'll be going to use subscript and superscript, because this is how you will be just going to see the formulas, right? So just see this thing in HTML formatting elements, they have explained each and everything. Like B is there. If you'll be just going to call this B, that will be a bold text. Strong, that will be an important text. So let us just, you can even try it. The compiler is basically there. That this is the normal text. Just see. If they have written it like this in a paragraph, that is the normal text. But if you have added a B like this, that is the bold text. Okay. Similarly, same we have multiple tags are there. I is there. For italic text, you have to use this tag. Okay. Emphasize text is basically that you have to use this one. Marked, you have to use this one, like this. So each and everything is basically there. The last thing that we are like left with is we just have to discuss the forms in HTML. All right. So the forms we'll be just going to discuss in the next session, and div and spam is also left. So tomorrow only I'll be just going to show you div and spam and forms, and at the same time I'll be just going to give you the introduction and some important topics also that are in your this thing, CSS, styling text and fonts, box models and layout. I'll be going to explain you, and after that we'll be going to complete, we'll be just going to cover flexbox, CSS grids, responsive website design, transition and animation. Multiple things we'll be going to cover tomorrow. CSS is very easy, guys. You don't have to be afraid about these things. You will going to learn it for sure. Do you guys have any kind of a confusion till now? Because I think this is it for today's session. We'll be going to continue the things in next session. Okay, guys. So this is it for today's session. Then bye bye each and everyone. Good night, guys. Take care. Bye bye, guys. Good night. Take care.